We are live. Hello.
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 Hey,
Okay,
everybody.
well that was fun.
Yep.
Bye.
Hi.
Good morning.
This thing, yeah, I hate when I can't even watch this on the delay. I have to watch this on Zoom.
Yeah, that's how most people do it.
Yeah.
Most folks can't do the delay.
Yeah. I mean, I have it paused in the background anyway, but yeah. But yes, hello everybody. Welcome back. If you were here with us last night, and if not, welcome to the Onyx Path Virtual Gaming Convention. It's a pleasure to see all of you here. So many bright and early in America, and so many mid-afternoon in Europe, and I'm sure some late morning in Bermuda, maybe.
Bermuda, Jamaica.
It's likely.
So yes, and we are on our second day of the Onyx Path Virtual Gaming Convention, and we're going to be doing this panel, which is What's Up with the Onyx Path, and this is part one of that. Tomorrow at the same bat time, same bat channel, we will be doing the second part of this. And basically, we're going to do a bit of a overview and review of what we're currently working on, what we're excited about, and it's pretty much based on who we have on the panel for each of the days. So today we've got Matthew Dawkins, we've got Dixie Cochran, we've got Ian A. Watson, and we've got Travis Legg. And myself, I'm Rich Thomas, founder and creative director of Onyx Path Publishing. So I won't, if you're here, and I don't think I need to go into the beginnings of who we are and all that sort of stuff. We generally would say that if people were just walking in at a physical convention, but since we're all virtual, I'm going to work off the idea that you intended to be here and didn't just accidentally wander into our room. So with that, I'm going to give it over to our amazing development team here and let them talk about the things that they want to talk about. Who would like to get started?
Well, I'll wade in.
That is not a surprise.
No, well, as far as my screen's concerned, I'm on all the way on the left, which is appropriate in many ways. I'm very pleased to be here and lots of projects to talk about. Hello, everybody. I'm sure there's a lot of people viewing who are very interested to know what's going on with the World of Darkness, and we will be getting to that. But before we do, swerve, we'll be talking a little bit about They Came From games. We have, of course, They Came From Beneath the Sea, should be in people's hands pretty damn soon. Obviously, as we discussed in last night's welcome panel, there's been some sort of distributor, printer slowdown, what with that old pandemic. But I think things are starting to gear up a little again now. Certainly, we've sent off the order, so that means, at some point in the near future, They Came From Beneath the Sea is going to reach people. And speak personally, that brings a sense of great satisfaction that I'm sure only Ian can share after he's had the same kind of experience with Trinity. When it finally gets to people, it's an amazing feeling.
Well, it gives you guys a sense of, I mean, Ian's got the exaggerated sense. I think, Matthew, yours is a real sense of had this idea and have walked it through all the stages to get here.
Well, I realize I've been lying for the last 100 or so episodes of the Onyx podcast.
Oh no!
What is your real name?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like Total Recall. I think this might be a dream. I think I'm on Mars, but I think I've been saying that the first time I started using quip mechanics, which of course I did, and They Came From Beneath the Sea, was in a Halloween special game I ran called All Flesh Must Be Dark Place, which used All Flesh Must Be Eaten by Eden Studios, lovely game, and combined it with Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, fantastic British comedy, only ran for 6 episodes. Check it out if you haven't. Now, I used quotes from that TV show in the zombie genre, and if you use the quotes, you gain like bonus dice or something. I think it's a 3d6 system. But anyway, I remembered only yesterday when I was watching the Adam West Burt Ward Batman TV show with my son in the morning, because I'm trying to get him into watching things with real people, not just cartoons.
Right. Yep.
that, the pow and zap
Yeah.
and wang and things like that.
I always liked Biff. Biff is always my favorite.
Yeah, like they just barely hit him.
Biff.
Yeah. And there's a comic where Czech, as in Czechoslovakian or Czech Republic, comes up. But anyway, I used those in a DC Heroes role-playing game, one of the first role-playing games I ever ran. I said, if you can find a use for throwing up pows and zaps and things like that, you would gain bonus dice. So this was obviously...
So you were meta then?
Yeah, I've basically never stopped metagaming, much to the consternation of my players who love immersion. It's why people don't like me as a player. But yes, so They Came From Beneath the Sea is trucking along. There's, of course, lots of source books for that in the offing. Heroic Land Dwellers has already gone out to backers. That's beautiful. Excitingly, They Came From Beyond the Grave is a game we'll be running over this weekend for the
Looking
first
forward
time.
to it.
Yeah, Rich Dixie will be taking part, among others. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's completely compatible with Beneath the Sea, which is something I wanted to do, that you can actually use both games to make one big game. So in other words, it's crossover heavy. The archetypes are all distinct. There's some similarity, but you can have a scientist and a professor, and they do have different arcs.
Right.
The Beyond the Grave tone is infinitely more hammy and over-dramatic than the nonsense humor of Beneath the Sea. Though, of course, you can still be funny with one or dramatic with the other.
Right. I mean, the source material is different. We do want to have a different overall feel, but I think it would be a lot of fun to put the two of them together.
Yeah. And yeah, we're intending on putting that on Kickstarter soon, as soon as we have sufficient art for that. But the manuscript's all written, it's off to editing, so that's also lovely. Rich has given it the big thumbs up. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Inspired, of course, by lots of Hammer horror movies, Amicus movies, Roger Corman movies. I had to do a sort of last-minute catch-up on Dark Shadows, the American TV show. It was never broadcast over here in the UK. We had the Addams Family and the Munsters. We never had Dark Shadows. So I caught up with a few episodes of that and thought, oh, okay, this really does work for They Came From Beyond the Grave. I assumed it would be more soap opera-y, but there's some...
huge.
No, it's super hammy, though.
And yeah.
And if you watch the earlier season in black and white, there's so many stupid, weird moments where the production, because I think they filmed it live.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got things where like the curtains are billowing, and behind the curtains you see the big fan.
Yeah. Or
blowing.
like somebody
out on the balcony,
yeah. Or like somebody like falls to their death, and then you see them like walk by the window later.
Yep.
Because like it's a first story window, and the actor was just leaving. Like there are Dark Shadows. I don't think it was all live, but I think they did a live episode or two as a gimmick, just like soap operas sometimes will. And yeah, if you like go look for like Dark Shadows bloopers, that's also something that is funny. I grew up watching those, and I think on the VHS set that my mom had, there was like an extras tape that had bloopers and interviews and stuff. Talking about VHSs, yeah.
So very appropriate for They Came From Beyond the Grave.
Yeah, and so I mean, Rich kind of turned me on to that late in the process and allowed me to do some tweaks to the manuscript, but it didn't really need that many. Kind of automatically fell in that Dark Shadows bracket. It does have the darker elements of things like the Twilight Zone to a minimal degree, Tales from the Crypt, more accurately, Tales of the Unexpected, which was, I think, only broadcast over here. That's a Roald Dahl series, but they're all about weird things happening, and hence the name. But yeah, that one is a game I'm very much looking forward to seeing the reception to, and of course, as mentioned, we'll be running it tomorrow on this channel. And I should mention as well, in terms of the crossover compatibility of both games, there's very little repeated material. Of course, the story path system remains the same, although it's been somewhat rewritten to match the tone of the game. But all the quips, all the cinematics, I think we maybe have carried over half a dozen of the same cinematics just because they're favorites from the previous game. And not everyone's going to want to buy Beneath the Sea. And some people may only want Beyond the Grave. So you're still going to get your deleted scenes and missing reels. But we've gone even more meta with some of these cinematics, like having bad caterers on the set, and of course
something Sir Christopher Lee talked about.
Yes,
with the Lord of the Rings.
Length, that I was never paid enough for these hammer monstrosities.
Excellent. That was a very good Christopher Lee.
We've got houses that inexplicably drip blood. You know, you can have just for a cost of one writer's or point from the writer's pool or rewrite, have a stunning strike of lightning. For no good reason, but you can have it to add gravitas to a moment. So again, what we found is this: they came from idea is just so workable with different movie genres. And that takes us on to the last thing I'll talk about from They Came From until we get to questions at the back end of this panel. And that's that Rich and I have been talking. This isn't something everyone on the panel even knows, but we have in mind the third part of the They Came From trilogy, as it is, in our heads. Yeah. And we are leaning heavily towards a kids game. No, probably a Western. Yeah, Western or kids. We're not sure. Western kids? Probably Western.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Kids with 6 guns, that would be responsible for us to put up. Man.
Yeah, well, you know, it's thoroughly American. And we think that, again, there's so many movies we can plumb the depths of. The Western genre of movies, of course, you're going Gary Cooper, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. You've got lots of different eras of Western, all the way through to the modern Western, which takes a much more cynical view of all of it.
It goes in cycles.
Yeah, then you have the comedy Westerns, like Blazing Saddles, like if you're British, Carry On Cowboy, you might be familiar with, where a lot of British people put on dreadful accents to sound like they're in the Wild West. So that's something we're looking at exploring after Beyond the Grave. I think the biggest challenge is coming up with a name for it that doesn't sound like an innuendo.
Oh my god, this is the hardest one to get a non-innuendo name for. we have spitballed a few things and they've all been like, ooh.
Yeah. I have a question. Are PCs allowed to have names?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't have a group of men with no name, as much as that could be.
What do they call you?
We call this one and this one wah wah wah. Yeah. And pew.
But yeah, I mean, Good, Bad, the Ugly. They had they all had names. They were all nicknames.
Yeah, so, I think he was Blanco in. He was Blanco in one of them. But Clint Eastwood.
There's Angel Eyes was Lee Van Cleef, and Tuco, the little rat.
Yep.
Was the great Eli Wallach.
Mm-hmm. So some Cockney rhyming slang there to harken back to an Onyx Path cast topic. Being kicked in the Eli's, if you're from the end of London, is to be kicked in the bollocks, hence Eli Wallach.
The Wallachs.
So on that happy note, that's my They Came From bit done. I'll circle back round to World of Darkness after someone else gets a turn.
Extremely obscure knowledge, but his Eli Wallach's son graduated from my art school that I went to as well. He was a couple of years ahead of me.
Oh. This is what people tune in for.
It's not like I ever met Mr. Wallach. I'm just saying.
I don't even know who you're talking about, so.
He is an actor. And as Dixie's speaking, let's go over to Dixie, shall we? To speak about some more books that are in production.
I just have to, my favorite thing right now in the chat is that Eddie as a moderator just had to use add permitted term bordello because we're talking about the Wild West. And it's a great command line. Like Eddie Fate used add permitted term bordello. It was just good. It was good. I actually don't have a lot of announcements this con. This was more of a con to showcase some new stuff. So we did do a playtest of Exalted Essence last night. It's the first time anyone outside of the core writing team has seen it. So that was Yes, Eddie, it was important. So that was super, super cool. Played with Monica Specca, ran the game, and then myself.
She was really great.
I love Monica. She's been running Exalted since college.
But it was her first time for running Essence.
It's true. And also, on video in front of lots of people. So that was super fun. I played with Rich and Neil Raymond Price and Danielle Lozon. We had a mixed Exalt party like we said we could do, and it worked pretty well, I think.
I think actually we worked the various group abilities really nicely. Neil talked a lot, intimidated people verbally, and then raised the dead. And you hid, and then came out and almost one-shotted one of the monsters that we were dealing with. And
which is funny because I wasn't the smashy character.
Yeah, and then that was the thing. Like Danielle, she saw through the whole thing until the final big boss battle, and then all of a sudden, this Solar is just whipping ass.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
So that's one of the main things I wanted to showcase. So talk a little more about Exalted, just in terms of what we're working on. We are still working on Exigence. I know folks ask me every week, and they ask Rich every week on the blog when's the Kickstarter for it, and the answer is, as always, we don't tell you when we're going to do Kickstarters until the week before.
Because
that hasn't
we're
changed.
Just mean and sneaky.
We're so mean. We're the meanest. No, it's just because, as we said before, if any unforeseen delays happen, we don't want people to get disappointed. So we pretty much don't tell anyone until it's locked in. Like literally, the Kickstarter has to be approved by Kickstarter and ready to go before we announce it.
And if it's something that's with the White Wolf properties, we have to go through a whole approval rounds with them to make sure that it's okay.
Mm-hmm. And of course, all the stuff that's happened over the past few months, we've had, delays here and there between people having personal things and between companies not working at their companies for a little while, et cetera. All of our freelancers working from home with other people. We talk about it on the podcast all the time. So I cannot tell you when the Exodus Kickstarter is, but I can tell you it's being worked on. Across the 8 Directions is half developed. Eric and Vance are just working on a lot of stuff right now, and also are some of those people who are getting slammed hard with work during the pandemic. So we're getting stuff through their approvals as quickly as possible. I think what we're going to see with a lot of Exalted is just a lot of things kind of falling into place at once. Heirs to the Shogunate is ready for editing. I just need to get it to an editor or edit it myself. So all of the main Exalted core books are going forward. We're clearly already talking about plans for what to do post Exigence. If that goes to Kickstarter, we'll probably do stretch goals as usual. So there's plenty of Exalted content happening. Right now, I know that it seems like we're focused on Essence, but as I said yesterday in the Discord, that's because it's kind of the shiny new thing, and we're all just excited about it. You always get excited about the shiny new thing. That's how shiny new things work. Thank you, Pilgrim Plays, for gifting a whole bunch of tier 1 subs. Thank you. It's so nice.
Yeah, just smashed my donations. There I was trip feeding them. And
Hype train.
Hype train. It's got a hype train going. That's exciting. So Exalted Essence is it's going. It's in red lines. Neil and Monica have completed their red lines, so a lot of the heavy red lines that will go back to the authors are done. Now I'm going to do my pass for clarity and to make sure that we're not getting too bogged down in Exalted weeds. One little peek behind the curtain is that one thing that I'm doing is I'm actually refuting some of the red lines, because one of the longtime Exalted folks will be like, "Oh, we should mention these gods here," and I'm like, "Why?" Unless we're going to define what they are in this chapter, there's no point in even mentioning them. We can just say there's gods. There's lots of them. And so, just making sure that for new players, it's extremely clear. And then for people that have played before that want to grab the core to read more setting, or grab Dragon-Blooded or Lunars or the Realm to read more setting, they can still do that. So, that's my Exalted update. Neil has gotten in chat to say, "How very dare." I dare. That's my job as developer.
Oh, yes. Mr. Peacock Undead guy.
He did play a peacock bureaucrat.
I was just sad I didn't get to play my Robert Borathian Lunar. We will have that opportunity at some point.
I definitely went the other direction with my Lunar.
Did you see what Rich named his bear Lunar though?
I did not.
It was Bahre Necessities.
Yes, hit.
So it was close to Robert Baratheon, you know.
Yeah. Cousins.
Right. So I will throw it to somebody else if you want to give Ian or Travis want to give an update, and then we
I
can
guess I'll
circle
take
back
it.
around.
Sure.
I feel like we're like doing this right. We're doing like, you know, we're just bouncing, having a good time.
So I am the Trinity Continuum content lead. So let's do a little rundown on what's going on in Trinity. The Aberrant core is in post-editing development, so it's nearly there. Please just hold on a little bit longer. It's coming. I've been seeing a lot of the art that's been coming in, and we've been sharing some of that on the Monday meeting notes, the portrait pieces, and fantastic. I'm really happy with how they're turning out. We've got the jump starts. We teased a little bit of the art for one of those, I think. That's currently in editing. Assassins is in development, as is International Wrestling Entertainment for Aberrant, and those are both going to be really, really fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes out of those.
Yeah, it's nice that they both kind of skew slightly away from the normalized setting and into a almost very genre specific kind of play within the setting, still existing within the setting. I think that's
right.
Shows some of the strength of the continuum.
I like exploring those sort of little nooks and crannies which don't seem like they're part of like the main game line, but they still fit within it.
Yeah. Thanks to Neil for the Assassin's pitch. That was very cool. What did you say, Dixie? You spent a weekend watching John Wick and
Yeah, he played Hitman 2 a whole bunch and watched all 3 John Wick movies in one weekend, and then was like, "This should be a Trinity game."
Go. So there you know. That's there's the beginning of the development process, folks.
It comes from the weirdest places.
And while I'm thinking about it, Good Old Games currently has Hitman Absolution available for free. So if you want to get in the Assassin's mindset, that's a great way to jump in for free. The Adventure Core is currently in second drafts, and we are doing some preliminary work leading up to what we want to do with Kickstarter. If you remember the webcomic that we did for Aberrant, we're doing something similar, which should be really fun for Adventure, and I hope everyone likes it.
But time period appropriate.
Yes. Anima, which we announced recently, that's still in first drafts. And the authors are mostly in the phase where they're only just starting to do some writing. Most of it has been doing research, asking questions, playing games, watching movies that fit the genre. So that's like it's a standard process. They're not slacking or anything, but the ball is getting rolling, and I'm very excited to see where that goes.
It's bold of you to say we're not slacking.
Well, we're on Slack.
True. Aha.
So yeah. Oh, there's one thing. One thing that has appeared recently. Is it on the? Well, it's been mentioned a couple times, but I don't think it's currently on the Monday meeting list. So it's on our upcoming projects page, and I have been given approval to discuss it a little bit. It's an Aeon book called Mission Statements.
Oh my God! No, don't talk about
that. So this is a book about organizations, but it's not a book about the Psi Orders. So groups like the Aeon Trinity, that's the major one, but also say the United Nations or criminal gangs or large corporations or all those sorts of things. Just the different groups that sort of make the Aeon setting run outside of the Psi Orders, which is a different matter entirely.
And need their own focus.
Right, exactly. That should be fun. It's not something that's gotten a lot of coverage in previous books, aside from in First Edition's America Offline. Went into a little bit of Orgutech's subsidiaries there, and then there was the Psi-Laws book and the Corporate Life book, and those were very, very slim little 40-page little booklets. So a lot of this has never really had a lot of detail or focus, so we're starting to dig into a lot of that. Rich, were you going to say something?
Did I sound like I was?
Yeah, you took like an intake of breath, like you were about to interject, but
Oh no,
you
that's just gasping for air.
okay.
Ian, someone did ask in chat what anima is, if you want to give like an elevator pitch.
Anima, yes, of
Some
course.
folks might not know about it.
Anima is something we recently released. It is
The information about.
We posted a press release about it. It is outside of the sort of core rules setting, which isn't like a full setting, just sort of like the hint of one. Anima is going to be the first new setting era for the Trinity Continuum. It's set in 2084, so it's about 20 years after the Aberrant War has ended, but about 20 years before Scions show up. And the world is in the process of rebuilding. And there's like a collective PTSD from the horrors of, one of the most devastating wars in history. Like, this is a war where people level mountains, right? And so as part of that, a lot of the populace gets an implant called glass. It's a brain implant, and a lot of people just use it to, there's a lot of things that it's used for, but one of the main things that it's used for is to play an MMO, just sort of as a form of escapism. And some popular streamers have started dying and disappearing, and no one knows what's going on, but it seems to be tied to this MMO.
And it's up to you to save them.
Right, exactly.
Or not.
Or not.
So it's a fun setting which gets a bit more cyberpunk. Like, Aeon has cyberpunk elements, but it's not a cyberpunk game. This is more a cyberpunk game.
Right.
It covers two worlds, two genres. There's the cyberpunk real world, and then there's the lit RPG MMO aspect. So you're going to switch back and forth between the two, and it should be fun.
Yeah, it's real. I think it's for me, it's a really nice juxtaposition of the cyberpunk sort of overall feel and themes and things like that, and then a pretty in-depth fantasy world that is also completely playable. And having both of those things within one game, there's like sparks that fly off of where the things touch. And I think that's that kind of frisson is pretty exciting for a setting.
Yeah, each half of those is almost like a full game in and of itself. So if you want to choose to just focus on one or the other, you absolutely can. But I think a lot of where the fun is going to come in is where the two, interplay and rub up against each other. All right.
Yeah.
Travis,
Sorry,
your turn.
I was multi-muted. I had to mute on Zoom and on the stream. So hi everybody, I'm Travis. I am the line developer on Scarred Lands, which has, as hopefully you know, if you don't, I'll tell you, the Vigil Watch and Yugman's Guide to Gelspad are coming out in alternating monthly releases. Those are both about halfway out the door at this point. Chapters 1 through 3 of Yugman's Guide are up, and 1 and 2 of Vigil Watch are out. Chapter 3 will be out at the end of this month. And so that's been going really awesome, and the feedback we've been getting on it is very, very exciting. But we also have announced on the blog basically, I think, just the existence of Dead Man's Rust, right? We haven't really talked specifically about what it is. So I can let you know a little bit specifically about what it is. So we are crafting a full-length campaign set in Central Gelspad. It will take players from levels 1 to 10, focused... most of the action is focused in the areas of the Hornsaw Forest, the Broadreach Horizon, the Gleaming Valley, and Glivid-Autel, the city of the most evil and foul necromancers to be found on Skarn. So that has been very exciting. I just sent back the red lines to the authors on that, and watching that come together has been super cool. There's a lot of new material that's going to be introduced that you can use either in coordination with this larger story or just drop into your own campaigns. And even if you wanted to pluck something out and drop it into another 5e setting, most of that stuff will work. Some pieces you'll have to take a little bit of a larger piece out to explain. Not very many settings have a massive blood-tainted forest in them, but if you pull the whole forest out, you can drop it right in whatever continent you prefer to play 5e in. There should be new player options and lots of new fun tools for the game master to bring to bear. So that has been super exciting, working on that. And then we've been doing a lot of just sort of smaller virtual tabletop releases, and there are some things in the works to help increase our virtual tabletop presence, both for Scarred Lands and for our other game lines. So please keep an eye out on that. You'll see a lot of that dropping out into Drive-Thru RPG over the coming weeks.
Travis has accelerated that program for us. We were obviously moving for years. We've been moving towards trying to do things in the virtual tabletop area, and the onset of everyone being locked in with COVID situation led the pushing more things into the virtual tabletop space, so that people have more things to play with at home. It's a huge thing that we think we can do to help people out, and Travis has shouldered another burden and is taking care of that for us, and doing a really great job creating tokens for a lot of different game lines that we have.
Well, thank you. And yeah, it's no burden at all. It's nothing but fun. Somebody asked in the chat if there's any possibility of getting Scarred Lands integrated with D&D Beyond. I would love to. So ask D&D Beyond about that. Because go tell them you want Scarred Lands. And then
We want Scarlands. We want Scarlands.
Demand it. So yeah, what else? I also am working on Mage the Ascension 20th Anniversary Edition. And we have just started reaching out to authors to fulfill that lovely player's companion that you so graciously allowed us to create with your overwhelming support of the Technocracy Reloaded Kickstarter. And just in case I haven't said it a million times already, thank you for that. That was an amazing experience.
So that was your first Kickstarter that you were involved as a developer?
Yeah, the first one that I was involved in as a developer. I think the only other book I've been on that has gone all the way through the Kickstarter process was Pirates of Pugmire, and I was just a lowly author.
I remember those days. Everything was so simple.
Long ago. Yes.
The Pugmire days. Dogs romped in the glades, and it was beautiful.
I wouldn't say just lowly author, though. I depend on a lot of people who don't develop but are very prolific authors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent.
And I am still a lowly author.
Like a lot of us are still that, but
mistake not my self-deprecation for deprecation of the position of author. But yeah, no, that's the only. So yeah, it was my first experience. So naturally, I was terrified. Terrified for the first 40 minutes. The terror then pretty much waned. But yeah, I got very lucky to have that be the opening Kickstarter experience. So,
Travis, if you note in the chat, there's someone is asking about how do we select people who convert our titles to VTT, and how would they or someone apply to do something like that? And I imagine that would be just to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, you can reach out to me on email would probably be the best way. My email address is available pretty much everywhere, but if you don't have it handy, you can always ping me on social media and I will send it to you. And yeah, just shoot me an email, shoot me a note, shoot me a DM, and we'll connect. We'll make it happen. And yes, we are absolutely in. Many hands make light work is part of my philosophy. So if you're interested, let us know.
Do we want to take that opportunity to segue into the World of Darkness with Matthew and
Yeah,
I think
some
that
Mage 20 talk?
that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, just so y'all know that we are seeing your questions. We'll try to scroll through and get a few of them after.
And remember, as Eddie pointed out, please write question in all caps in front so it's easier for us to find.
Yep. I should say, by the way, if you've joined in after the very beginning, we are raising money for charity as well as offering lots of big discounts on a lot of our games. You can actually follow the charity ticker along. That's what that bar is along the top, how much we've raised so far. So if you go on onyxpathcon.com and you contribute to one of the charities on there, you're going to see that bar go up and get that sense of satisfaction where you can actually see your money is going towards something, in this case, a bar filling up. But it does go further than that. And we're very much appreciative for anyone who can donate anything from $1 or up. It seems now that we need to keep the numbers 6 and 9 in that figure for some reason or other. So try to keep that in mind. Try and keep that in mind when you make your donation. But yeah, there's also lots of discount on games as well. So including hard copies of everything from, I think, the C20 anniversary edition. There's dice for things like Scion, Changeling, and all kinds of lovely things available that you can buy. So do check that out.
I think the Beckett's Jihad Diary Deluxe is half off.
My lovely Beckett's Jihad Diary. So, World of Darkness, speaking of Beckett, and there's a lot going on for the World of Darkness right now, as those of you who have been keeping up with Paradox or, Paradox, White Wolf, World of Darkness on Twitter and various other media will be aware, all kinds of video games being announced, but we are still at the heart of the tabletop RPG side of things and working on a lot of books. Now, while there's nothing I can announce that's brand new that will come as any surprise to you, we have got Let the Streets Run Red. Final bits of layout are being put together for that. I just had to give some last art direction there on that one just yesterday. So that's good. Let the Streets Run Red is a big book of chronicles. Most people call them chronicles. We call them stories in V5, but chronicles works. For Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. We also have Cults of the Blood Gods, of course, for which we're getting the remainder of art in for that as well, which was, of course, on Kickstarter and did very well for a book. Well, quite frankly, we had no idea how well it would do, given it was about vampire religions. This was something completely new for Vampire the Masquerade, and we stormed that one. That, in turn, funded 3 stretch goals. We have the recently renamed Children of the Blood, was called Faithful Undead. That's going to be a big book of cultists, various religious types among the kindred, who may be included in your game, supporting characters, maybe antagonists, but that entire naming convention, Children of the Blood, is to follow on from Children of the Revolution, Children of the Night, Children of the Inquisition.
And you just had to pick something with blood in the title.
I was going to say,
blood.
I thought it was because Eddie got really, really mad, didn't have either dark or blood in the title.
That's and some of those kindred in that book you may well remember from previous editions of Vampire the Masquerade. I can't confirm them yet because they all still need to be approved by Paradox, but I have a feeling you're going to be seeing some familiar faces too, which should be quite exciting. We also have Forbidden Religions, which, if you thought the cults in Cults of the Blood Gods were a bit nasty and depraved, these ones are the ones that those cults think should not be discussed. This includes Infernalists, which I know will impress and please a lot of people. And I have to say, just speaking personally, having looked through the first drafts of that book that's currently being redlined, that infernal part is my favorite part. No dissing to anyone who worked on any other part, but the infernal cults are magically brilliant. We have Golconda cults, we have ancestor cults that worship particularly dubious Methuselahs, and we also have the Niktuku cults. And anyone who's familiar with the Nosferatu mythology of cannibalistic elders should keep in mind that the kind of vampire that would worship the Niktuku is probably not the kind of person you want close by at any given time. But worship a dread deity, and you may get some gifts as long as you're prepared to deliver them a meal once in a while. And then
Matthew, just before
Yes.
you dive in, one more,
Yes.
if you can hold off. I just want to say that usually I actually do start one of these What's Up with a explanation of what we are and what we do and how we do it. And someone is a little confused, and they are actually brand new to the World of Darkness in the chat. And so I just wanted to say that White Wolf, old White Wolf existed, merged with CCP. CCP gave Onyx Path the license to create tabletop RPGs for Exalted, Chronicles of Darkness, which was the new World of Darkness back then, and World of Darkness. Subsequently, the entire all of White Wolf was sold to Paradox, who spun off their own version of White Wolf, put out V5, and then was absorbed back into Paradox. So basically, now we're talking about Paradox and our license from them for doing these books, and then Paradox basically gave the running of V5 and how it needed to happen over to Modiphius, who was already distributing the books, the V5 books, and Camarilla and the Anarch's Guide out. So they would oversee it, and we continued with our license, putting out V5 books, and also currently the Mage 20 books for World of Darkness, and also for Chronicles and for Exalted. So I hope that answers it for you. And I'm sorry I had to go through that again, but I just don't want that to be, confusing to anybody out there, because it is confusing.
It is. But last one for Vampire, and I know there's going to be a lot of thoughts and feelings regarding the various books that are going on with Vampire right now. Not all of them by us, but the last one is one I'm personally developing. I'm co-developing the other two I mentioned, Forbidden Religions and Children of the Blood. This one I'm personally developing. It's Trails of Ash and Bone. And like Let the Streets Run Red, it's a book of 4 different chronicles, and there's some mystery chronicles, some personal horror chronicles. One I'm particularly fond of sees the coterie essentially having a cabin in the woods style story, where you are sent out to the woods to fetch the child of a notable vampire, find that they've turned into a wight, which is a particularly feral vampire. You terminate them at the very beginning of the story. You don't really have much choice, and you then find that they have been rearing a terrible mortal cult. They have been sustaining themselves with a herd of incredibly loyal and strange retainers. You're then told, oh, that child you killed is actually the favored child of the prince, or similar.
Good going, guys.
Yeah, you can't leave the woods yet until we've smoothed things over. So you have it's what I'm trying to do with V5 with all my books is get into vampire from angles that we haven't seen before. And I think vampire sort of wilderness horror is something we just haven't really explored much. There's a bit of it in Let the Streets Run Red, with a small town in Illinois. This one is the forests of Denmark, and it's a nicely weird story that I think a lot of people will enjoy. So lots going on. And of course, Mage of the Ascension as well. Lots of books for Mage of the Ascension too, for 20th anniversary, including The Rich Bastard's Guide to Magic. You didn't think you'd see it, but there it is. It's coming. And we've got a lot of we've got those stretch goals, of course, for Technocracy Reloaded, which Travis has got a big hand in. So, and Victorian Mage. Oh yeah, let's not forget Victorian Mage. Victorian Mage has been taking a while to develop. That's for good reason. There's a lot of content in there, but we're being very careful about that content. We want it to be as good, as high quality as we possibly can. And it is coming to the end of its development side. So I think the fact a lot of people just picture the Victorian era, that 19th century era, when they have mages, spiritualists, and the like in mind. So it's a perfect meshing, and I'm really happy with what the team have done there. Ian on this panel is one of the co-developers alongside Chris Allen, and yeah, they've led a brilliant team to the fruition of this book. So keep an eye out for that one too.
Yeah, there have been a few people asking questions about other World of Darkness lines in the chat, and I thought I'd like say as a blanket statement, as Eddie keeps saying, anything for 5th edition, anything for the World of Darkness lines is up to Paradox White Wolf to approve. We'd love to do anything they'll let us do. We can't talk about anything that might be going on behind the scenes with that. That's just how it is.
Yeah, if something is listed on our upcoming projects page or on the Monday meeting notes, then it's been approved. But if you're asking like, hey, is there anything more for Wraith coming up or whatever, if it's not on that list, there's nothing we can discuss.
Yeah, that's sorry. It's not our property to discuss. Like we work on the license, we don't own it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who, especially if you are a Wraith fan, you might want to know that there's a Wraith VR game that has been announced.
Yeah, it looks cool.
That looks pretty cool. We didn't know anything about it until we saw that. So that's sort of the nature of it. They need to maintain excitement and impact from the releases that they're working on.
Someone did ask if we're the only company working on Chronicles of Darkness stuff at the moment. As far as I know,
yep,
pretty sure. Yeah, we are. We just released Nameless and a Curse. I didn't really talk about Chronicles. We've been working a lot on the back end to get some of the Kickstarters we've been doing kind of squared away between those and their stretch goals, because we had Contagion Chronicle, Deviant, Hunter, Dark Eras 2, Mummy the Curse, kind of like all within the past year or so. That we're actually, well, I know Dark Eras 2 was a little while ago, but as far as like getting them to fulfillment. So that's where a lot of our focus has been on Chronicles recently. Past that, as we said with the World of Darkness stuff, you'll know what we're working on when we put it on the blog. For most of that, there's no new announcements, but Nameless and a Curse for Mage the Awakening just came out in POD, and it's amazing. Also, Oak, Ash, and Thorn for Changing the Lost just came out pretty recently. I know Megan, the developer of both those books, is in the chat as M. Fitzgerald, and she is fantastic. So definitely check those out if you haven't yet.
Yeah, she is great.
We also did have a question that zoomed by earlier, but I was able to grab it, which is, what genre has Onyx Path not had the chance to work on that you would like to do?
Oh, I saw that one. I want to say that I would like to do something. Yes, all of our books, we try to be inclusive. We try to be, progressive with our views and this, that, and the other. But I see so many cool like indie projects that are like explicitly feminist or explicitly marginalized gender focused, as opposed to that being just part of the world. And I would love to do something in like a magical girl genre or like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer type, genre-ish, where it's just all about girls kicking ass. For me personally, that's what I'd like to do.
Other genres or even just game genres that
I would really like
Continuum.
to. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead, Travis.
I was just going to say I would really like to write on a comedy game set in the Old West that may or may not draw heavily from films like Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, that'll never happen. You stick to your scarred lands.
Okay.
And your mage.
The Trinity Continuum is basically it's everything I like. So I mean, you've got your science fiction, you've got your superheroes, you've got your pulp action, you've got your cyberpunk. So basically, any time I come up with like, hey, here's a cool genre that we haven't really covered yet, let's cram it into the Trinity Continuum. So I've got a lot of plans, but whether or not those plans will be approved, that's a different matter.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, really, what that is often, we do get pitches from people, and they will be dealing with a different genre, and our very first thing that we have to look at is this going to step on something we're going to do with the Trinity Continuum, because it is so open to that kind of stuff, as we've seen with the Anima, where we fit two different genres into the thing.
Somebody does keep asking, and this might be a Matthew question, because Someone's asked a couple times during the Kickstarter for Contagion, a follow-up to a story in Chicago was asked. I don't remember a specific Chicago story.
Obviously, Chicago was a big part of the New World of Darkness
Right.
in its very early form, and it was just 3 games. There was the World of Darkness Chicago book, and I think it was actually Chris Handley of Darker Days Radio suggested, wouldn't it be good with the Contagion Chronicle to actually revisit that setting with one of the stretch goals? And I thought, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? So I suggested it to the team that was doing, I think, Global Outbreaks.
Mhm.
And to my knowledge, Global Outbreaks, for anyone, so to catch everyone up, Contagion Chronicle is a big crossover book for the Chronicles of Darkness. So you can play your vampires, werewolves, mages, Prometheans, changelings, etc. in the same group. And it has this Contagion global infection as a backdrop. Not quite the same as our current global infection, but you know. And it has lots of different settings within the book. We didn't get to Chicago in the book, in the Contagion Chronicle core rulebook, which I finished the second proof on last night
Nice.
between panels, and because I never stop. But we funded lots of stretch goals on the Contagion Chronicle Kickstarter, one of which was a book by the name of Global Outbreaks, which provides more settings and more versions of Contagion. To my knowledge, Chicago is going to be in that book. Now,
yeah.
We still have to get everything approved by Paradox, and we'll have to see whether it's still there when you guys and girls and others start to read it. But hopefully, you'll get to see Chicago in the Chronicles of Darkness as well.
Yeah, it's not a big book. So, yeah, we'll see.
So, yeah, any other questions? We've got, what, just under 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, question.
Questions. We're here.
Pilgrim Play says, what city by night does Matthew, Dixie, and Richie?
Richie?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's not going to fly, but that's fine.
no.
Yeah, want to see. Well, we'll avoid Richie. What city book would you like to see, Dixie?
If I were writing from experience, places I've lived, I'd probably do Seattle. Just because it's a really cool city and there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I think it would be an interesting place to do vampire populations, which is funny because of course that's where Bloodlines 2 is set, I do believe. So like I've always said, like, oh, no, Seattle. The other city that I've lived in for a long time, I think would be a cool to kind of update for the modern era would be Atlanta. Because I feel like past, I think only Wraith got an Atlanta book
Yes.
back in the day, and it was kind of heavily like, this is very Southern, and like if you go to Atlanta, like it's a pretty like diverse, cool city. It's not just like this is the South. So
Well, you know those discussions we have, Dixie, about immediacy. What are you doing tonight in your existence as supernatural in the world right now versus all the back history and everything? I think the Atlanta book leaned heavily into the back history because there was so many awful ghost moments that they wanted to highlight. So you know,
So
I think it's got a phenomenal Brom cover. So
yeah, well, not phenomenal anymore. But
no.
The art was good at the time. But yeah, no, I definitely would love to do just one of those for the modern era, you know, like a 2020 Seattle or Atlanta. I think would be really cool.
So if I could do a city by night book, again, Seattle would be fantastic. It would be a very good idea, wouldn't it, to tie into the Bloodlines game? I think... I'd like to do something European. It's always a bit of a challenge doing a city by night book because you want it to appeal to a global audience because you would need people to buy it. Speaking, you know, purely pragmatically. So just doing where I live by night probably wouldn't help. But I think doing a Central or Eastern European city would be fun. Maybe a Budapest or a Moscow by night. Moscow by night could be entertaining to work on. And very interesting given Russia's history, which I'm a big well, not fan of, but I've been reading about Russian history for a very long time. So yeah,
But you would want to write that and maybe get like some Russian writers involved, just as sort of consultants, right?
Nah. I could do it myself. I've seen a book about Russia. I've seen a book. I haven't read it. That's enough.
I saw that. I saw War and War and Peace. Isn't that enough? I mean,
yeah, I think it's got something to do with it.
I would probably jump on the same bandwagon like that most people. I think most people, when they think of a by night book, the very first thing they think of is My Town by Night.
Yeah.
Because that's the fun thing. It's like transposing your where you grew up or where you've been now into like the our world, but darker. Like we said a long time ago, we didn't think that was going to happen, but there you go. And I would do Philly, since that's where I grew up, and it's actually why we did Hunter the Vigil. I think is the first edition was based in Philly because myself and Chuck Wendig were pretty knowledgeable of the area. It was a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I mean, there are other cities I'd be interested in doing like a by night. Like I grew up taking Japanese and like being interested in Japanese culture. It'd be cool to do one, a Tokyo by night or what have you. But I wouldn't want to do a lot of those without like the appropriate cultural consultation, the appropriate writers. Like I wouldn't want to touch anything where I haven't, like that I don't have experience with. So that's why I immediately go to Seattle, or go to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are so many cool, like, global cities that we could be covering.
Absolutely. And it really comes down to a whole mess of other issues then. Like you would like to do Tokyo by night, but, we don't know what the kindred are necessarily like because of that. And so it becomes a bigger bigger picture thing. Whereas if you do the city or you grew up in or something like that, you're reasonably sure that you're nailing the important points.
So I need to interrupt now because we don't have much time left, and I believe with every single panel there is some kind of giveaway. Isn't that right, Travis? Travis, you are muted, of course. But Travis is saying, yes, definitely.
There is. So here's how you enter into this. Just say hi in chat, and I'm going to pull a random sampling of who is available, and we will be giving away... what are we giving away this morning?
Let's have a quick look. Our giveaway for this panel is going to be
Dystopia
Rising, the Evolution PDF. So one of you lucky viewers gets to win. I hope it's Eddie.
Everyone's saying hi. Oh yeah, let's give it to Eddie. It was really fun. Yeah, we've already had a couple drawings where the producer for the stream was like, "Oh, it's this person," and I'm like, "They already have it. They worked on it. Let's pick someone else."
Oh, now you all come out to say hi. You've had this entire stream to have a conversation with us, and now there's something to give away. That's absolutely fine. Well, now that I've got all of your attention, there is a charity link to this stream. Do go on onyxpathcon.com and donate to it as much as you can. It's really appreciated. We're trying to raise as much as we can for the two charities connected to this convention, and it is really, really important to us, both groups. So please go on onyxpathcon.com. Even if you can only donate $1, it is beyond amazing.
It is so appreciated, and they're both incredibly good causes.
Okay, and just running it right now.
Ooh,
randomizer. This is super fun, right?
It's my favorite thing in the universe. 2 seconds.
Yeah, the donation does keep going up. Green or go home. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we hit goal like by the end of today's streams, and then maybe we can just add on tomorrow. That would be cool.
Yeah. I
know it's very early still for a lot of folks. So.
Well, yeah, but we're nearly halfway there, so I think that's good going.
And if you haven't had a chance to check out the Legend Lore Kickstarter, we funded yesterday, and which is woohoo! And now we're moving to Stretch Goal Zone, and I know Steffi wants to really work on some more books for it. So please, if you haven't yet, jump over there and consider pledging. It's an amazing fantasy genre game, and if you've ever been turned off or concerned about how D&D represents you, this is the game where you can get in there and make yourself whatever you want to be.
Yeah, it's super awesome. I know Steffi will talk about it tomorrow during the panel, but I'm a big fan of Legend lore. If you're a fan of the isekai genre of manga or anime at all, it's definitely that. Like, you can play as the denizens of that world or one of us. I know, and like, yeah, you can choose how much of yourself stays and goes as you go over there, and what your true form is, etc. It's very, very cool.
Congratulations to Super Rat Lord, who is actually a friend of mine, Rachel. Congratulations on your new Dystopia Rising PDF.
Oh, that's Rachel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yay! Congrats.
Congrats. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Dystopia Rising is awesome. I think more people should play it.
I think the good thing is more and more people do seem to be. We're going to have to wrap up very shortly, but yeah, anyone watching this who hasn't heard of Dystopia Rising Evolution, more of that will be covered tomorrow in tomorrow's What's Up with Onyx Path panel, where Eddie Webb will be present. He developed that game, but yeah, should be noted that it is a fantastic post-apocalyptic role-playing game. If zombies and survival are a thing, that's just the hook to get you in, because there's so much more to it than that. And yeah, we're really pleased with how that book turned out. So do check it out, Dystopia Rising Evolution.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending. This has been a fantastic turnout, fantastic questions. We hope we have been able to give some useful information, some fun information. We certainly had a good time with all of you. And like I said, we'll do another What's Up panel tomorrow. Eddie Webb will be there. Neil Raymond Price will be there. And Steffi Devan as well. And we'll be able to talk about some of our other projects. And that should do it for us. Travis, can you take us out?
Absolutely can. Thank you all so much.